So finally, we are going to start. So first, let me introduce myself. This is Mariano Blay Andreu. I work for the International Data Spaces Association. I've been working for IDSA for 3 years, and I was lucky enough to share the organization of this track with Oscar Lázaro. Oscar Lázaro knows a lot about the manufacturing and supply chain sector, and it has been a pleasure for me to share that learning experience with him. I learned a lot, and I hope the outcome is good. So, as you probably know, the DSSC is the organizer of this symposium, one of the organizers, and we would like to open this session with a few words about the DSSC project. How many of you know about the DSSC project? Raise your hand. Good. Okay, so as you probably know, the DSSC is, although the name might be misleading, the support that the DSSC project provides is based on the blueprint, is based on the building blocks, is based on the toolbox, things that all the data spaces can use, and it can be used as a guidance and as a reference. As I stated on the slide, there are common design patterns, so ecosystem don't reinvent the wheel in this. So there is need for convergence in terms of using the same references, the same architectures, and even the same technology. When you are in the research area, divergence is good, is enriching. But when you want to move to implementation, to commercial implementations, and to the mainstream, divergence is not good. We prefer convergence, and DSSC is helping in that convergence. You will see later today some presentations. I will be also on stage for introducing the DSSC Toolbox version 3, and there will be presentations related to the blueprint, and Boris Soto as well. You probably know that the DSSC project as such is going to end by the end of March, but there will be continuation, and there will be what we call DSSC2 that will start 1st of April. So from your point of view, probably you will see some changes in the approach, but the support will still be there. About this track, we think it comes at the right time, because from vision to value is something that, as I mentioned, we are moving the data spaces for being part of the academia, for being part of the research. They've been there for 10 years, but very recently, the data spaces are becoming something tangible, something that is implementable, and something that is moving to mainstream. And when you move to mainstream, the numbers that you need to take into account are very different. When I started in IDSA 3 years ago, a successful data space was reporting 150 participants, and that was a successful one. And nowadays, maybe some of the data spaces are reporting around 1,500, 2,000 participants, but moving to mainstream is going to drastically change the number of participants. We will be talking about tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands. On that, I suggest you to browse your program, the symposium program, and find a session tomorrow on Wednesday, 11 o'clock, about adoption at scale. I hope that will be helpful for you. And with that, this is the slide. You probably, I don't know if you managed to read all the names. We have mobilized around 20 people here. I think most of you are panelists or presenters, those for you who are in the audience. So basically, we'll have a first lot with a joint presentation with Thomas, Oscar, and then we'll have a sequence of four panels, and then Oscar will close the session. So it will be intense. We'll have many experts, so I hope you will enjoy. And with this, I would like to hand over to Oscar and the other presenters.
In order to make the process streamlined, I would invite, while I make use of my 5 minutes of presentations, I would invite already the different speakers to join me in a stage, so then we can make the transition during the presentation in a smooth way. What we are trying to do today? Today we are bringing to you the insights about manufacturing data space and DTPP work from 4 very relevant initiatives in Europe. We will start first going deeper into the manufacturing data space. You know that manufacturing is facing very critical challenges that no single company can at the moment solve alone. We are also witnessing how manufacturing industry is actually making new ways of making use of data, is transforming collaboration, so we are creating new industrial digital strategies. In order to address these challenges, industry is actually putting a lot of effort to building different types of manufacturing data networks that are fit for purpose in terms of solving the specific challenges that we have to face. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depends how you look at it, during this process we have learned that one data ecosystem, one size data ecosystem does not fit all, and that we need the right tool for the right work at the right time. So that is what we are trying to do in Smart Tenants. In Smart Tenants, we realize that at European level, there are a number of different initiatives that are emerging, different ecosystems. And 2 main questions are on the table. How we are going to connect these ecosystems, and how we are going to get connected to these ecosystems in an easier way. In Smart Tenants, we are focusing on the asset life cycle and how the information, the data that is created and managed during the life cycle of the equipment, we can actually link to these multiple ecosystems. In order to do that, Smart Tenants is relying on 5 main digital pillars that link together equipment, data products, services, manufacturing solutions, and portals. Pillar number 1. If we want to make production and asset data work, we are adopting and implementing the M-export concept. Pillar number 2. If we want to exploit reusable data products, Smart Tenants is supporting the implementation and adoption and alignment of existing international standards, common information models, and communication models. With this approach, we can deliver a 360-degree data integration blueprint, better together. Pillar number 3, we have to build trust across diverse technical and regulatory environments. In Smart Tenants, we are building verifiable credentials in a way that we use these credentials on a common ontology that is supported across these ecosystems. These credentials we can check, we can discover, and we can do this via implementation of common catalogs. Pillar number 4, we need to build applications. We need to build interoperable data workflows that work from the engineering part to the actual circular asset management. In Smart Tenants, we are implementing 9 of these applications to showcase that the implementation of these interoperable data workflows can actually bring a competitive advantage to industry. Pillar number 5, the Smart Tenants portal. The Smart Tenants portal is bringing together participants, data space service providers and operators, ecosystem governance authorities, and trusted ecosystem service providers. How and why are we doing this? We want to provide, basically, access to everything that is needed to make industrial data work, from the equipment up to the application. And we are doing this, putting together these 4 main elements. A trusted ecosystem of application providers, equipment that is ready to operate under the M-export concept, data products that are interoperable because we can semantically verify their structure according to these standards that we are adopting in the data space, and at the end of the day, having access to data space service providers that are ready to operate with the M-export concept. With these 5 technical pillars, we have defined 5 very easy steps to operate a data space. Step number 1, we have to set up our business process. We basically identify the events that trigger data transfer, trusted data transfer, across the life cycle of a machine asset. In this business process, we have to identify mission, data value chain, teams, data models, and standards that will drive the implementation of the business process. Step number 2, we have to select a data space provider, someone that is following this structure and allows the companies to get connected to the data space. Freedom of choice and following international standards. Step number 3, we connect our stakeholders to the workflow. We basically set our trusted data network. Companies, users are accessing the workflow that we implement with the data space via the connectors. Step number 4, we set the terms of use and we connect our data catalogs to our workflow. And this allows the step number 5, that is the one that is actually bringing value. Our applications can operate on top of these federated and trusted data workflows. We make our data really work. Who is doing this? A very large group of companies already. But is this sufficient? We don't think so. We need our workflows to be international. We need to deeply address use cases like the DPP and circularity in manufacturing. In any case, we need really to bring the green, the circular, the international enablers for the operation of the smart and data space solutions. And that is why in this presentation I would like to invite my fellow speaker, Mark, to explain how they are actually working on the greening elements of the data space. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Oscar. I guess these are all Mark. So I'll do this quickly because that's what we're supposed to do.
Fine.
There we go. Very quickly, SAGE, the Green Deal data space, or the sustainable data space for the data space for sustainable green Europe, or maybe an environmental data space. What the words are less important than what it's intending to do, which is to bring together a lot of components. Some of them are static, but in this particular case, we've got a circular picture, and that is very important because we have a lot of supply chain use cases, a lot of circular use cases in the Green Deal data space, and we need to support those. And we'll talk about how those relate to MX and to Surpass2 in a moment. But what are we going to do within SAGE? So what are our aspirations? So we want to pilot use cases that migrate business and workflows onto the common SAGE data space. So our point here is to create a platform that is extensible, that is not a silo, that can expand to other use cases and can onboard other use cases in the future. We want to link to and consolidate with a very fragmented data ecosystem that already exists of environmental data, of reference data, Earth observation data, etc. We want to provide a capability so that use cases can confidently use this open data as well as their own restricted data. So data sovereignty is essential. And we'll talk more about the compliance journey required to achieve that in a session that I'll be in tomorrow afternoon. SAGE itself is working with public holders of sensitive data who can bring potentially this data into the SAGE data space in order to complement and extend and enhance the capability. And finally, we need to be interoperable with other data spaces. We do not believe in silos. We want to build interoperability by design from the beginning. So we have a number of use cases that are funded. I won't go through them. The important part is that many of them are circular. There is reuse of data in a circular relationship or a supply chain relationship that we need to model in our data space. Many of our use cases are also multi-layer. So there are different sort of, domains or spheres of influence, cities, regions, nation states, the EU, as well as global. What we're talking about is not limited to the EU. So to achieve that, we're building on a capability or some concepts that were initially presented in 2020 by the Open Data Institute. You'll see the reference down there. The stuff on the left and the right was from that. This is 6 years old, starting with limited internal access, named access, group-based access, jumping to public access, and anyone. We're adding two pieces in the middle, or instantiating, creating two pieces in the middle. One is attribute-based access control, which is the new box, and we're also providing data sharing groups as a way of implementing some of the things that are on this slide. And doing this in a reliable way enables governance, interoperability, and gives confidence to the users who are providing their data. So I'll give you an example. This is a picture from one of our use cases, circular textiles, and you can see the flow of stuff, real things, products, textiles in this case. There's also a flow of data that goes along with that. So we need to be able to model that, and we also need to respect the fact that transactions from A to B should not necessarily be visible in participants C and D, etc. But we need to be able to bring it together. We need to be able to aggregate the data. We needed to do so in a way that the data holders and owners are comfortable. We don't have similarity. So that's an example. So this is a complicated diagram. I'll quickly run through this. How's my time, Oscar?
So. 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah, that is the overall session time.
Okay. So I'll very quickly go through this. It'll take me exactly 2 minutes. So a lot of stuff going on. The Sage data space is the octagon in the middle. I think you will notice the fact that it is largely empty. And that's because we're using external trust service providers. We're leveraging governance artifacts that exist outside in the world. We're using some of them, adapting them to our own purposes. We have some capabilities within Sage. Many of them will be operated by Sage. So for example, you see discovery as a service, the thing, is there an arrow in this? Yes. Can you see that? And of course, no. Right there. Discovery as a service, semantic interoperability services, ODRL as a service potentially, but these are being operated potentially by outside service providers. Sage may operate them in the interim while we're getting set up. And that's the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. And probably you noticed that one of the use cases that we were dealing with was related to textile. That it gives me a nice connection with to introduce Donald from Fujitsu. That is one of the companies that is part of the SIRPAS2 project, Digital Product Passport. So maybe, Donald, you can give us an update on how far we are with the Digital Product Passport in Europe.
Thank you, Oscar.
Not the one crashing the agenda.
So yes, as mentioned, coming here today from Fujitsu, but representing the SIRPAS2 project, where we are responsible for the coordination of the pilot use cases. Disclaimer that these are the view of SIRPAS, and these do not represent the viewpoints of Sensenelec nor the Commission. However, we do work very closely to support all the actions that they are involved in. So SIRPAS2 was originally a coordinated support action, and now we are a Digital Europe program-funded action running for the next 2 years. We have 49 partners, but we have over 5,000 stakeholders within our organization. A quick definition of the Digital Product Passport, in case you didn't know, that it is a structured collection of product-related, machine-readable data with a predefined scope and an agreed management and access rights system conveyed through a unique product identifier being made accessible through the means of a data carrier. So in essence, the DPP is an information system for the circular economy. So what we try to achieve is to deploy and validate DPPs at scale, focusing on the B2B activities of the pilots that promote circular business models and support the ongoing work of Sensenelec. We try to demonstrate cross-pilot interoperability and provide support to SMEs in their uptake of DPPs. And as well as this, we support the deployment and the adoption of DPPs by other sectors targeted by regulations and upcoming delegated acts. So just to explain exactly what a pilot is, each pilot has a leader, it has a number of upstream partners, and in this context, upstream is just technology providers, but we do have a number of downstream partners who we refer to as the OR partners, as you can see in the diagram to the right, and each use case has a circular economy business model and DPP-related use cases. So here's an overview of all of the pilots. So they are technology neutral, and they are across 4 different sectors, being textiles, electronics, tires, and construction products, each with different technology-based, different DPP-related use cases, and all focusing on the utilization of the data collected by the DPPs. So we try to ensure the pilot diversity, as I said, through technologies, etc., but also through sectoral diversity. So we're focusing on these 4 different sectors, and we aim to prove that the DPP can be more than just a regulatory burden and enable and provide proof that the DPP can provide economic and environmental sustainability through the pilots. This maybe should have come earlier, but here just a quick snapshot of some of the upcoming sectors, such as textiles in 2027, tires in 2027, etc., etc. I'll skip this slide because I made a mistake on PowerPoint with the formatting, but just to tie in with what Mark was saying beforehand, this is same organizations are involved in Surpass 2 as they're in SAGE, where we can see that textile has definitive challenges around circular business models. And in the textile DPP, we can see how use cases such as material recovery from end-of-life textiles can be enabled through the data access provided by the DPP, and the ability to digitize this existing data enables the seamless data transfer and enables interesting use cases like automated sorting and others. I don't have time to go through this in detail, I think. Okay, so we have user stories. We have a proposal for our own reference architecture, and we have our version of a simplest DPP system, which we call the rubber ducky DPP. I can't go through in detail. The key is to maximize the value of this data, and in order to maximize the value of the data, how do we reuse said data? And to go quickly here, our proposal is to use a semantic interoperability layer. Without understanding the meaning of the data, the technical feasibility is useless, because we need to have a shared meaning of data across various sectors, and this is a key focal point of what we're trying to do. And of course, to also enable data spaces, we have an upcoming paper being worked on by a lot of our partners, including Innovalia, and I won't give too many spoilers, as this will be coming out in the next month or so. And of course, the semantic interoperability will also enable the global forum for DPPs, which we sincerely focus on, because as we see, this DPP is popping up across various regions and countries. So please, if you would like to learn more, visit our website, where we have all these proposals and informations and roadmaps to the DPP. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ronald. And we have led the final message just on the international dimension. It's not enough that we do these things in Europe. I think if you were during the panel that opened the conference, you heard Oliver Ganse from Katina explaining very clearly that this game is an international one. And what are we doing at the international level? Maybe Thomas, Dominic, you can give some insights.
Yes, I will do my best. Hopefully you can hear me. Also, warm welcome from my side. You said it before, nobody can do it alone. I think Oliver, in the beginning regarding Catena X, for sure phrased the same topic. And you know, also when sometimes the situation today is a little bit tricky, but we are working together. And I see here the friends from Japan here in the room, from US, not here maybe, but outside. I met him in the morning. And for Europe, I see Roland, Oscar, only to name 2. So we set up some kind of cooperation around the world. It's called International Manufacturing X Council. You know, we are looking, and you see it in the headline, no country, no initiative can do it alone, what mentioned before several times. But we are looking what are the infrastructure, which is maybe specific in the countries, how we can establish an information sharing. Think about a battery passport, where you need the data around the world. Or, you know, last but not least, to drive also adequate standardization. That's what we are setting up. And for me, is this slide always super important because it is somehow the attitude, how we are cooperating. You know, first of all, we like, and we work openly together and hear what is needed in the different region. Then we're looking what is the topic, what is the environment, the infrastructure, the standards, like I mentioned before. And then, of course, we are pushing forward regarding standards. I'll give you one example. Oscar mentioned before the M-Export. For example, we have for the Hannover Messe, I think with Japan, the ODS RAM, ODS Reference Architecture Model, a concept from Japan. We are joining a paper and writing what could be an approach worldwide. I think this is one topic, or I give a completely other topic, which we have done between the US, Europe, and Japan. We're setting up or published a paper about sustainable industry, about how we react on the aging society, less gap of skilled people. That's what we are doing. And you know what I said, we're setting up an initiative worldwide. Here you see the actual map. You see from the west, US, Canada, Brazil will come during the Hannover Fair. You see Europe, anyway, I will touch this very briefly. India, we will onboard in May, and we have Japan mentioned and Korea, and also regarding the data topics, I think Oliver mentioned this also, we are setting up a cooperation with China. This is how we are doing this, and all keep in mind, understanding what is needed in the region, what is the infrastructure, looking what are joint standards which we can drive forward, and that's what we are doing. And I think only not to catch too much time from you, I will just hand over to Dominic to speak a little bit about this, and maybe if I'm allowed to say one word about, because here's also a little bit about the battery passport. Mark and Donald, you mentioned before, also the CPAS 2. I'm also in the OPC Foundation active. I'm the vice president, and we have also a dedicated working group regarding DPP. And only, exactly, you said it, work together. Thanks a lot.
Stay with me, Thomas. We have -5 minutes. I will make it short. That was Hannover Fair last year. It's about collaboration on an international scale. We can't avoid that different regions have different approaches. Two things are for sure. We need to have interoperability, and we need to have solutions based on standards. We just need a few standards. We have OPC-UA in the room. We have, as Oliver just mentioned, Catena X going on. We have an operating company for them already utilized that. In Japan, we have ODS RAM. We have joint meetings to integrate as good as possible. We have comparable developments in China, and this is exactly what it is about. So this year is really on the DPP. It's one use case, and the other one is really on the edge. Edge AI will be computed at the edge, and mostly welcome to all of you and your countries to join this showcase. We explicitly use standards, and we use federated data ecosystems as the base layer for data exchange. We can only do it cross-domain and cross-geography, and let's avoid to have silos in each country that are not interoperable. That would be it from my side. Back to you, Oscar.
Thank you. I think it is good to see that data spaces are not only working in Europe, they can really work across the different continents, as we are doing with this showcase. And once we have settled the scene, so these are the latest achievements, latest developments in all these fields, I think it is time that we start with a number of very interesting panels. Here you have seen what we have achieved. Let's try to understand how we get there and how we should move from there in in the future. So I give the word back to Mariano. I think he will be moderating the first two panels, and hopefully I will join you for the last two to close the session. So Mariano, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this insightful presentation. I think a lot of interesting content has been shared. So this is going to be the first panel of a sequence of 4 panels. We're mobilizing here a number of people. And here we will have, first of all, we'll have Maximilian Wagner from VDMA, from Werkbahn Deutsche Maschinen- und Anlagenbau. I think I did it right. Please join us to the stage. You can take that seat, so you are just. Then the next one is Antonio Ventura. It's my pronunciation of this is much better. Antonio Ventura from Traverset Data Pixel. Thank you, Tony. You can sit over there. And then the third one would be Francisca Buja from the Agricultural Industry Electronics Foundation. Please. So the title of the panel is Interoperability and Resilience in Industrial Data Spaces. And I would like to ask you a couple of questions, each of those, to each of you. The first would go to Maximilian Wagner. Which are the main challenges that an organization like VDMA observe when machinery and engineering companies want to exchange data? What are you main learning from manufacturing activities so far? We don't hear you. Can you turn on that mic?
Test, test. Okay, perfect. Now it's working. So hello also from my side. To go into that question, as a European Association for Machinery Industry, we are quite close to the branch and get a lot of feedback from the branch as well. And we are in both sides, so we're also attending in projects that are further developing the architectures and the building blocks for the data spaces, but we're also on the other side, together with our member companies and representatives from the branch, giving us the feedback, how the outside world sees it. And now coming to the main challenges, and as we talked a lot about adoption today, and focus on SMEs and so on, I want to tackle exactly that point. In that world, it's still not yet quite clear what's happening here. So if we have events and talk with the companies, and the vast majority of the branch is characterized by SME companies, they do not yet understand what is this about. They always ask questions like, is it a new kind of architecture approaching? Do we have to implement new standards? What is coming here? And they are unsure in which direction to invest as well, yeah? Because we have so many projects, we have so many initiatives, a flood of information is coming, and it's difficult for them because, of course, they have less capabilities as the large enterprises to sort and to see, okay, which is on a readiness level, and to think of what is there to be changed, or can they adopt something that already exists, or maybe they are already prepared, because now coming to interoperability, communication on the shop floor is nothing new. That's something companies are facing a lot of years already, and the problems they had regarding that were the same. Yeah, they, if you think of proprietary individual interfaces, they prevent the scaling of data exchange and so on. So they focused for first, of course, the shop floor communication, standardized interfaces, and standardized vocabulary for their machines to communicate. And when we zoom out now and talk about cross-company data exchange, that's nothing new, it's the same. We have to define the data in a standardized way, and we have to exchange it in the same way. So that's the same challenge, just a bit upscaled now. And regarding the manufacturing X and basically all the initiatives and projects, one major learning is that having such huge projects makes things real slow to come to decisions, to come to things you can present, you can demonstrate, and so on. And one big learning is that usually the companies and the industry is looking to demonstrations. They want to try out, they want to see how it works. So maybe if we now focus on adoption, one really good step could be start in smaller groups, try to elaborate a demonstrator, not as a final result, but as an MVP or a prototype to test, and then compare.
Okay.
And then go further and harmonize it a little. So that's one major learning.
Thank you very much, Max. Very insightful. I think we all agree that adoption at scale is one of the main points of this symposium, right? So the next question will go to you, Tony Ventura. And the question is, as Innovalia Metrology is an OEM, how are you approaching the challenge of exchanging data with your suppliers, customers, and users of your equipment? Which are the processes that can benefit from sovereign data sharing?
Okay, I will follow your argument. I'm representing here a company, and we are in the market. We are in the market of, we are manufacturers of equipment that is used for quality control and metrology. And our main customers are aerospace and automotive industry. So we are in the market. So we need to convince our customers. So we need something that is working, because we need to convince our customers. And in order to answer you, we have to understand what are our priorities at this moment. And our priorities as equipment manufacturer are basically three. The first one is that our customers are looking for personalized, for customized solutions, first. Second, our customers are looking for intelligent, smart automation. And third, our customers are looking for equipment that is resilient and that is easy to maintain. And in order to do all that, so to fulfill these requirements, we know by experience that the key point is to make this digital transformation, and by adopting the concept of digital twin. Digital twin of what? Digital twin of equipment, digital twin of product, the manufacturing, the product that is manufactured by our customers, and digital twin of the processes. And the only way to be successful with the implementation and deployment of digital twin is by managing a lot of data. So if you think in our products, so we are selling this metrology equipment. What is a combination of computer vision sensors, high precision robotics, software, and understanding that quality control and metrology is a highly regulated industrial sector. There are a lot of rules that we need to follow. So when we are selling a solution to our customers, then we need to enrich our digital twins with all the data that is generated during the, let's say, the whole life cycle of our product. This is starting from manufacturing. So we need to capture data from manufacturing, machine definition, and the kinematics and everything. We need to capture data from the installation of when we are installing our equipment. And again, priority is personalization, customization. And something that is very special in our sector is that because we are offering systems that need to be very accurate, and the customer has to trust this equipment that is going to give them good data, metrology data. Then we have a process called calibration. And calibration is very complex, and is generating a lot of data as well. And finally, we have the use of the equipment, the exploitation of the equipment, with all the setups, configuration. And So all this data is generated not by a single, let's say, owner. This data is generated by us as manufacturers, but as well is generated by our customers as users of the equipment, but also we have a number of companies that are service providers, for example, the companies that are providing calibration services or maintenance services.
Of course. Yeah.
So all this, so I would say that this is and we are talking about, let's say, a very specific type of product in markets like aerospace that are also highly regulated. So finally, data spaces, well, if we need to invent something, in order, because we are talking about guaranteeing that our data, let's say our data and the data that is part of our digital twins, we need to guarantee that this data is reliable, traceable, and we need to guarantee as well that this data remains, the ownership of this data remains in hand of the owner of this data.
Of course. Very good, Tony. Thank you very much. Very clear. Thank you. The next question will go to Francisca. And the next question is, agriculture is in some way facing similar challenges like manufacturing. Which are the barriers for a trusted data exchange that the processes that can benefit most from data sharing?
In agriculture, data exchange is still based largely on bilateral connections, which require a high effort for integration and maintenance. This limitation becomes particularly visible when we look at field operations. An agricultural field operation, as for example crop production, there are machines from different manufacturers that are operating on the same field over the course of a year. This means, for example, a tractor is pulling an implement from a different brand, and then in the next step there is a sprayer from even a third brand. And they are all generating valuable data. And the availability of this data makes field operations more efficient. So in the agricultural industry, it is the goal to create a interoperable and trusted data exchange to create a data-driven agricultural ecosystem that can support decision-making and support the interoperability throughout these machines and improve efficiency in the operations.
Thank you very much. Very clear and concise. Thank you. So I have one more question for each of you. I think time is a bit of a challenge, so let's try to keep it short. So the next question would go to you, Max. How is VDMA supporting industry to facilitate the vertical integration of factory information with data spaces?
Yeah, as I said, we're kind of in between the data space project and the industry itself, and therefore we first focus on the usability of existing standards, interoperability standards that the industry is already using to be part of what has been developed or will be developed in the project. So we're taking actively part in, and therefore we also help the companies on the other side, now the bound to the industry and our members. If they want to understand, we try to explain what's happening there and how to face it, where to start. And therefore, we have two departments within VDMA. We have for the data space topic in general and more focused on the Manufacturing X. We have the Forum for Manufacturing X as entry point for asking and getting help. And we have our department for machine information interoperability. I know it's a long word, but this department is already for a long time working together also with OPC Foundation to standardize the vocabulary of the machines. So this is something that already exists, as I'm always talking about the standards and the reuse of the standards also coming to such new frameworks like the data space. So as we are involved in further developing those specifications and also trying to get them working in data spaces as well, we're, as the department itself, is also there for being in contact if there are questions on the technical side, how to start, where to start, what's ready, what's not ready. We try to help to, yeah.
Thank you very much. Good. Next one goes to Tony. This is about Innovalia has demonstrated as part of SmartTrans project how a machine can become MX ready. Which are the main advantages of building your industry workflows with the support of data space technology? You can keep it brief. SmartTrans was mentioned already a number of times.
I will just refer to the previous presentations, standards, basically. And, well, working with the standards, we can prove to the market that our, let's say, we can have products that are working, but also are, from the economic point of view, let's say, very, very interesting. And also giving our customers the possibility to have good foundations for digital transformation in industry for the future.
Thank you very much. Francisca, last one goes to you. AGIN, your agricultural data space, foresees the data space as a data interoperability network. It's a question. Which advantages and concrete opportunities this approach is providing? How does it work so far?
So AGIN aims to be a practical solution tailored to the agricultural industry sector. And the main key facts about the network are that it is a decentralized network, that there is only one API that has to be integrated through a common software. And if a company decides to participate and share the data in the network, they have to agree on one legal agreement. Once they are connected, they can share data with every other participant in the network. And as a result, the data becomes available throughout all the connected products and machines that I previously mentioned, so the tractors, the implements, and the software solutions that are used. So with this approach, we are creating a foundation for collaboration in the industry, and also to integrate to broader data spaces such as the Common European Agricultural Data Space, and even beyond to related domains and sectors.
Thank you very much. My closing for this would be that the data spaces are really moving from concept to practice, and I think your speech is clearly in that direction. So thank you very much. A round of applause for the panelists. And now we have the second panel, so feel free to go back to your seats. Oops. Second panel, let me welcome on stage Felix Beckman from Airbus, Christos Papeleonidas, representing VMG Sustainable Innovation, Matthias Heck from Ford. Matthias Heck from Ford finally couldn't make it. And Natalie Samovic. I think we had a last-minute issue reported from Matthias Heck, so the panel will be just for the three of us, plus me as the moderator. So we'll have a bit more time. So the first question will go to Felix. Felix, industry faces important challenges in the area of decarbonization. Can you share with us the main data sharing cases that are leading projects such as aerospace and Decade X in the aerospace domain, and how this approach could help improve competitiveness?
Absolutely. So first of all, you're completely right. This is one of the driving forces within our industry, sustainability. This is especially because of our upcoming demands within the European Union and globally, for example, with regards to corporate reporting, but as well with regards to the Green Deal. Secondly, it's something which is really demanded by our customers and at the end of the day by passengers. And thirdly, it's of importance, especially for our own corporate goals. And this is where we have a twin engine within the industry between what you mentioned before, between Decade X and Aerospace X. And you can think about Aerospace X as the sustainability engine, where we are developing under the umbrella of a Manufacturing X funding project, things like, for example, the life cycle rulebook. And this rulebook allows us to tackle one critical point within the industry, to come to common measures, which is currently not really the case. Because the problem and the challenge we have nowadays is that if we want to calculate certain values, like for example the carbon footprint, we have to all apply exactly the same measures, because otherwise it will be something which is not scaling and not comparable. And these are one of the things that we, for example, we tackle within Aerospace X in order to come to this rule book, and we can then broadly apply that within the content of Decade X, which is providing the ecosystem for the whole aerospace industry, where we take care about the industrialization as well as the leveraging with other topics like, for example, things like resilience. And this ultimately drives, I think, a lot of business value, but especially coming back to your question with regards to the competitiveness, it provides us also a very competitive advantage to make decisions a lot clearer on clear data, a lot more speedier, and also in a lot more automated way.
Thank you very much, Felix. So, second question goes to Christos. Christos, in the oil and gas industry, there is a pressing demand to gain efficiency and manufacturing excellence. Which are the facilities and use cases that have driven the development of your data spaces?
Thank you, Mariano. First of all, to narrow down the oil and gas industry, because it's very broad supply chain, in our data space, we focused on the downstream part of the supply chain. So the data space was centered around the needs of the operator of one of the most complex refineries in Europe. So the first use case that we implemented was about the synergies and collaboration of the refinery operator with the component vendors in order to implement an AI-based predictive maintenance tool through the data space. So we create more efficient maintenance plans for the refinery because it operates 24/7 and also cut costs and emissions throughout the way. A second use case was not oil and gas, actually. It was wind energy, so we rolled out a predictive maintenance plan and also an operation optimization based on weather prediction for wind farms. And although the two industries are in the energy sector but are different, the data space was an enabler in order to identify the challenges, connect the dots and see similar issues in the two subsectors. So it was very interesting, and we plan to upgrade and upscale the portfolio of the services of the data space, which is online now, in order to service the needs of more industrial stakeholders.
Thank you very much. So, Natalie Samovic, energy is strategic in the competitiveness of our European industry. How have you approached the challenge of industrial data sharing in the energy domain?
Indeed, and here I agree with Oscar, who mentioned not one company can solve it. Energy sector is quite complex. Why? Just naming a number of important numbers as to the not one company can solve it. So there are more than, approximately 40 grid TSOs, transmission system operators. There are thousands of distribution system operators across Europe. And there are dozens evolving flexibility services providers. Then the composition of these networks and players is also very heterogeneous in terms of their scale, size, budgets. and goals, short-term goals and medium-term goals in terms of the challenges that solving. So project Insieme has a vision, and the vision is to be able to onboard and have the ability to share data in minutes. So that's what we aim at. Following that, the data share should be close to real time ultimately, but that's not for this year and not till the end of the project Insieme. So this is just a couple more dimensions of the challenge. But the main challenge right now is trust. And there are three ways how we are solving this trust issue. Trust related to the regulated domain, because that's what we have in the energy sector, and also the market-facing domain. So the flexibility services, sustainable build services, the mobility services, and the use cases. And why I'm saying services, because we're inching towards the valorization of these services, not approaching it only from the IT standpoint challenges, but from the socioeconomic challenges. I think you're all aware about the problem with the cost of electricity in Europe, impact on manufacturing of these costs. Just look at the panel from the Sustainable Energy Week of last year on this topic. So it is not only IT issue there. But as you could see, I have so many pages with me, and this is the result of what it would take and the big ecosystem. So it feels to me a little bit like you, that the award acceptance speech, because I've asked this question to our 70 partners, that's how many we have in Insieme, as to their position on this question in preparation. And there's a list, long list of how we are doing it and how we are building it, both bottom up and top down. So top down, we need to solve governance, and we are basing it on seeds. So to name a couple, so it's common European energy data space. So that's where the governance should come from. Then the federated approach of the onboarding and infrastructures that is on the pilots level in 14 countries. That's the second way how we're solving it. And the third one is on the business models and the scaling up. And so I'm leading work package 5 on scaling up. We do stand on the broad shoulders, I would say, of at least 10 projects preceding Insieme that we're working on the data spaces. So we are kind of the last one in the program. So there will be a lot of anticipation as to what we're going to come up in 2 years from now. But we are collaborating with Simple. We are leveraging everything that is been created in Data Space Support Center, from the business models to the tools related to the reference architecture, ASGAM, and I can name a Rolodex of other abbreviations. So, but this is also part of the strategy collaboration. Last point I will mention is related to the format. It is still a dialogue, so we are not. We're in the process of finalizing the reference architecture and things of this nature. All the components. We are very fortunate because we are working in parallel with so-called D4E. It's data for energy. So it's the format that DG Energy created together with DG Connect to facilitate the data sharing. And there was a report that just came up this month. So we have a very good menu to look at. So, but we are in line because we're also the contributors to that. The other format, and as I promised, the last one is we have format of the industrial TSOs and DSOs roundtables and the signature roundtables. So the dialogue is not over, and I would like to use an opportunity to invite to the one that is going to be April 16th in Paris, which is going to touch upon all of the 3 verticals, including the mobility. And I think that's a good one to see where we are, so that I don't have to mention.
Thank you very much. CMA is indeed a very relevant project, I think, in the data spaces ecosystem.
We have a lot of responsibility on our shoulders.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you. So time is pushing, so let's keep this second round as brief as possible. Okay. So Felix, aerospace is a business that spans industry and countries. What is the role of data spaces in managing this complexity and flow of data?
Yes, so the whole aerospace industry is not working if it wouldn't be global. That is from our customer towards the supply chain, but also including the production as well as the afterwards usage of our products. And what we have is currently we have quite a bit of a challenge with regards to the data, because we rely heavily on second-level data. And as we all know, the amounts of data that we have to process as well as the complexity is ever and ever more increasing. So just to give you a few numbers that you can maybe play a bit around that, a new aircraft has nowadays around 400,000 or up to 400,000 different sensors and can produce per flight hour up to 1 terabyte of data. And just to give you that as a perspective, it is no longer or not at all sufficient if we have, for example, an aircraft on ground to tackle such challenges via emails, because they have the speed and the security and safety at stake. So where we really leverage on top of data spaces and where data spaces can help us are mainly within 3 areas. And at the end of the day, the first area will be that data spaces are seen by us as an enabling technology, which can provide, first of all, a trusted environment where we can share the data in a collaborative way in the intention and the transparency that we want to. Second of all, it can really drive standardization across the whole supply chain. And third of all, it can really automate a lot of processes. So where we see data spaces as something which is quite valuable is coming from more fragmented supply chains towards synchronized ecosystems where we can share data in a synchronized way and in a trusted environment.
Thank you very much. Christos, in the Underpin project, you have brought the data space in operation. Can you highlight some of your most relevant elements in your solutions and step towards scale this data space?
Yes. First of all, I totally agree with what Felix said earlier about what is needed to be done. And we are very aligned not as a consortium anymore, but as data space operators to achieve that. And what I would like to say is that the solutions that we provided through the project and we try to upgrade and upscale will continue to deal with the predictive maintenance. So we'll try to work also in collaboration with other sister project and data spaces like Smartenance in the future. Also, we try to resolve some challenges around the creation of digital product passports, apart from those raised by my good colleague from Fujitsu earlier. So we also created a software-based digital product passport in the data space. We have created a template actually, so that it can be used maybe by other data spaces and increase transparency for software-based tools. And last but not least, we will try to enhance data cleaning services within the data space, which we find very useful to very small enterprises, not the large ones specifically, but we'll try to improve that as well.
Very good. Sounds very interesting. Thank you. Last question goes to Natalie. Different initiatives are dealing with the development of energy data space. How do you foresee dealing with interoperability with other data spaces that need energy data?
You asked to be brief, so I'll
Please.
First, leverage of what's been done across Europe. So I've already mentioned simple data space support center, IDSA, and Gaia X. So to name a few. But interoperability, it's not only API topic. There is more. Governance, I did mention. So we still need to work on that, and the methodology and frameworks need to be implemented, adapted, and accepted at the pilot levels, which is not smooth ride. So we are exploring the topic, and this is one of our next deliverables on the federated approach to the local data spaces. Let's not forget where we started from 4 or 5 years ago. We had data hubs across member states. We had all kinds of different formats to collect, store, manage the data from different operators, right? So we also went through the minimum interoperability requirements, and then now there are new formats also on the policy level coming up in energy, like digital twins, which not only touch upon operational interoperability, but also the policy. So the challenges do remain. I won't go into the details on the IDs, and other topics. This is interoperability in that also is very important. So we have the goals, as I mentioned, to share the data in minutes, to be able to plug in and play. That is important. And so the seeds adoption will remain or will hinge on the connectors, efficient connectors, which come from all the communities that I mentioned. Then also the regulation on the national data hubs, right? That's the next level. And what we're also doing in NCMA, we are started looking into the costing exercise of the data space for energy and the components of the valorization for the meta-level services. I'll stop here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all. I think that was a very interesting panel. I think a round of applause for the panelists, please. Now we go for the third panel, moderated by Oscar. Oscar, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Okay, so we are heading toward the last couple of panels. We are with a little bit of delay, but we will try to catch up a little bit in the last two panels. So I will invite my fellow colleagues, Silvia Rodriguez, as Catena X Competence Center representative here in Spain, Roland Sommer, Platform Industry 4.0 Austria, and Javier Lisarte from Test System, and also representing the Catena X hub here in Spain. In this panel, what we are aiming at is basically at trying to understand what is needed. We have heard that AI will definitely benefit from data space collaboration. AI access to this data that we need from the industrial environment is actually quite critical. So now that we have all the team on stage, we would like to give an overview in the panel that goes really from the strategy to the hands-on support, how we really accelerate adoption and we make this industry-grade AI a reality. I will start with Roland first. Roland, AI and data are naturally connected. We know that recently Austrian has worked intensively on a strategy to make this marriage a reality. So from your perspective, what are the main highlights in all this process that you have undergone in Austria?
Well, the Austrian strategy was published a month ago. And we have 6 overarching goals. One is, of course, competitiveness. The second one is, and probably this is also true for you, we believe also that in 2035, Austrian industry is a key sector for the Austrian economy. It's about research, it's about innovation, it's about resilience, it's about, we call it sustainable and circular production, it's about skills. And all these also are relevant for data spaces, of course, and for AI. And for the first time ever, Austria had the courage to identify 6 key enabling technologies and 3 key sectors. And these 6 key enabling technologies are advanced manufacturing, it's quantum and photonics, it's advanced manufacturing technologies and robotics, it's AI and data innovation, and it's chips, electronic components, and electronic systems. And you might think Austria is a small country, why so many key enabling technologies? And but at the same time, we try to focus on that. What is the outcome for identifying these 6 CATs, key enabling technologies? We will have a profound shift of all the funding schemes in Austria on these key enabling technologies. We will create new jobs and job profiles through vocational training. We also try to attract talent from abroad, of course, in these key enabling technologies. And I think, and that is for me very important, we have to combine these CATs. And when looking at the challenges, of course, we all have to speed up with the technology diffusion rate of all these CATs, including AI and data innovation. Austria, as being a small country, we cannot use as it's called, scattergun approach, so we have to focus. When we look at the Austrian industrial landscape, we have a few sectors that are very strong in high tech, but most of the sectors are in the medium tech. So the basic idea is to come up with the transformation of this medium tech by using CATs and by using AI and data spaces. And last but not least, when looking at these new technologies and looking about how to finance that, traditionally in Austria, the main financing instrument are bank loans, so we have to come up with different approaches for that.
Thank you, Roland, and this gives me the connection to the next question, that is adoption. And Silvia, Catena has set up a data space competence center in Spain, and this is something absolutely new in the way that Catena is operating outside Germany. But what is the main challenge that you observe when you have to ensure that we build this trusted digital offer that Catena is trying to put forward? What are your impressions on that?
I think that this morning, early in this morning, we heard Oliver Ganser talking about the main challenges of the automotive sector. He was talking about mainly technology, but all of us here know that it has to do also with business and with legislation. And the fact is that no company can face these challenges on its own. It's not a reality. So thanks to Catena X, we are able to face these challenges. We are able to serve the companies in the automotive sector a new infrastructure to a sovereign data exchange. But the reality is also that we have an adoption and use challenge in here. We need the companies to adopt this technology and to use it. So once again, Catena X has raised a new solution. He has decided to establish hubs and competence centers in Spain. This kind of dual model help us both to identify digital solutions in the already existing ecosystem of Catena X, and also to identify and to develop use cases on this. But at this point, and from my point of view, from the competence center perspective at a national level, and I must highlight here that the competence center in Spain is the first one that has been established outside Germany. And we have been thinking, and we have been putting on the table all that we have to make this competence center an absolutely neutral and open service ecosystem for the companies. We invite all the companies all through the value chain to join us. and analyzing this ecosystem that we have at the national level. We have identified very clearly that the first thing that we need to do as a competence center is to offer a quick access to the already existing digital solutions for the critical processes that make those companies still being competitive. But we also need to offer them the possibility to experience firsthand what it means to implement processes fueled by Catena-X. But also at the same time, technology is very, very important for us as a competence center. So we are both distributing this already existing digital offer, but also promoting and pushing forward to increase the number of solutions that are Catena-X compliant. By analyzing the profiles of the companies that we are working with, we have established two different itineraries or roadmaps for them, clearly differentiating the ones that want to use already existing digital solutions and want to validate their processes, and another itinerary or route for those who want, for those service providers that have been working with automotive companies for such a long time. They want to develop or at least adapt their solutions to be Catena-X compliant. For them, we offer them access, very agile access to resources and solutions from track to sex. But trying to summarize really quick, we like to say at the Competence Center that we like the 3 Ds, that are mainly the development, the demonstration, and the distribution of this expert solution, Digital-X offer that already exists, to allow them to, all the companies in the automotive sector, all through the value chain, to join this sovereign internet of industrial data exchange that Catena-X offers.
Thank you, Silvia. And Javier, you represent here not only T-Systems, but also you are part of the core team that has the responsibility and I guess it's a little bit of fun of setting up a Catena-X hub in Spain. So how are you approaching this challenge from the hub perspective?
Okay, this challenge and actions, challenge and actions. Yes, Catena-X is a Spanish hub. Is carrying out two clear action in this moment. The first one is last year was Spanish hub was created by ANFAC and Cernauto. ANFAC is car brand and OEM's national association in Spain, and Cernauto, which represents almost 90% of auto suppliers in this market. Also, there is a core team formed by ANFAC, Cernauto, both association, plus SEAT, Gestam, Mondragon T-Systems as technology partner, and we count with Innovalia as competence center. Thank you, Silvia, Oscar, for your job. And another action is to work closely to public administration. In order, this is a very good point to help any adoption. In summary, our main activity in Catena-X Spanish Hub is to help our ecosystem to adopt and to join in Catena-X.
Thank you, Javier, and I will be very strict since we have already run out of time. No 2 questions, just one. Only one sentence, one statement for the second question, okay? And I will be strict. So first, Roland, you are not only setting up strategies, you are also actively participating in initiatives like Smart Tenants, like IMX Council. Please, one example, maximum line of 2, but in one sentence, please.
Okay, it comes as a surprise. It's a part of the Smart Tenants project, and a company called AVL, and they provide data-driven engineering. So imagine that you would like to understand the aging properties of batteries, and for instance, if you have a fleet provider that you know, by using the data and that is being processed by AVL, when to change the battery or remove the battery.
Thank you, and I see already AI and data coming together, so thank you, Roland. And Sylvia, which are the advantages and the things that you think we need to particularly take care when we look not at the OEMs, tier one, very large companies, but SMEs? What is the perspective of the competence center? One sentence.
One sentence. It's complicated.
Yeah. Big problem, one sentence.
SMEs in the automotive sector are very relevant. I think that we may all know, but 95% of the companies in the automotive sector are SMEs. And what we were talking also yesterday in the Data Space Adoption Forum was that we need to deliver not only information about how data spaces can benefit them, but we need to deliver solutions. We need to deliver outcomes. So from the competence center, the main thing that we can offer them is to experience firsthand what it means to adopt the Catena X digital offer, and how can they really improve their already existing processes with this digital offer.
Okay, so simplicity and experience, if I can summarize. And Javier, just before we close, what are the recommendations that you are placing? We have probably to do the hardest thing, that is a very important project needs to be rolled out. So we are in the first phases, we are making a lot of traction. Once the thing is moving, it has its own energy. But what are your first recommendations in terms of making the ball rolling?
Well, to accelerate onboarding in data spaces in automotive sector, Spanish Hub makes some recommendation very quickly. The first ones, it will be now is a very good time to invest and to deploy, because we can have a funding program from public and private administrations and regulation. Before everybody could see DPP, Digital Product Passport. Yes, also understanding, no? Understanding and knowledge. It's very important to understand which benefits, cost, how do an onboarding. This knowledge is very important to spread in our industry. And finally, maybe start simple, step by step. In the automotive sector in Spain, we already have use cases. Let's start with that, and let's grow together with Spanish Hub and Competence Center.
Thank you, Javier, and thank you for your time to join us here today. And just to summarize, I think we are moving from technical discussions, from basically awareness and evangelism into actual pragmatism and dealing with the business challenges. So good luck in the months ahead.
Challenge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And we left a very interesting panel for closing. I think compliance, regulation, DPP, textiles, they have been mentioned for a while, but I think it is time that we learn a little bit more about the topic, that we deep dive as much as we can in the next 10, 12 minutes. And then I will invite for this Alessandro Canepa from Piacenza, Lutz Walter for the European Textile Platform, and Ana Sandé from the ITG here in Galicia, in Spain, to join me in the panel. Okay, so we are going to talk about compliance, about regulation, but we want to tackle this from the perspective not of the regulators, but the sectors and the companies that have to live day to day with the implementation of such compliance and regulation. So just to start a little bit with the perspective of the sector, Lutz, the textile sector has strong challenges in terms of meeting DPP and some other regulations that are coming forward. But if you have to put the focus, if you have to tell us about what is the major concern that you can hear from the industry, where should we put the focus?
Well, Oscar, if you say that we have strong challenges.
Yeah.
Yes, if you say that we have strong challenges, then you understate the situation. So just to make it visual for people here, if you imagine digital data management systems in different sectors, and you compare that to global cities. So, well, we had the aircraft industry here. Maybe that could resemble a place like Zurich or Copenhagen. For the automotive industry, maybe it's Tokyo or maybe New York. For the textile sector, you have to imagine a city like Lagos or Karachi. And no insult to the people living in these cities, but they would probably agree that it is very chaotic, very messy. So to give you an example how it could work, I'm not saying it works always like this, but you have a freelance designer in Paris who designs a dress for a Spanish fashion brand. He receives via WhatsApp a picture of a fabric swap from a Chinese fabric supplier. He confirms it with a thumbs up. The Chinese supplier buys the fabric for 50,000 euros, sends it to Vietnam to get it made into a dress, and that is then sent to Europe, where 10% goes into the Dutch shops, 40% into German shops, and the rest goes into a Polish warehouse for the e-commerce that serves the Central and Northern European market of that Spanish brand. So, and now you try to implement a DPP. That's where we are. That's the challenge that we face. And well, you saw it on a few slides here. I think the Sirpas representative showed it. We're 2 years, at best 3 years away from DPP becoming a reality in this industry. So, and this industry is a relatively long sort of lead time industry. So the designer starts 9 to 12 months before the garment arrives in the shop. So that means basically if a DPP has to be there in 2029, early 29, well, by late 27, the system has to be set up. And that is obviously, it sounds like science fiction today. So what has to happen? Basically, right now, data management and that kind of chaotic data management works because, or is possible because the industry is very lightly regulated. So the fashion industry, in terms of consumer information, you have to provide the size, the material composition, and the care label. That's what you have to tell the consumer. And obviously you have mainly logistics data other than that. So if you import or export something, well, you have to have customs data and these kind of things. But that's about it. So, and we have to really, as an industry, develop the whole data infrastructure that you can exchange a lot more than just this very, very basic data. And that's, I think, where we are. So that comes down to, well, to seeing first data as a strategic asset that has to be professionally managed. To develop really data ontologies, a common language, a harmonized language, and to get data basically out of completely disconnected silos. Most of the smaller companies, data management happens in Excel. And then they generate a PDF and email it to the supplier, to the customer, and so on. It's only the big brands who have PLM and ERP systems, and even those don't talk to each other. So this is really where the challenges are.
Thank you, Lutz. And then I think you have portrayed the crude reality. So I think, Alessandro, you have led some of the projects that are changing, that are trying to transform this crude reality into something a little bit more manageable. So how far have you get with these data transaction projects? What is the role that you think data spaces could or should play in transforming this scenario that Lutz was presenting?
Okay, thank you, Oscar. So I represent an industry. Piacenza Group, Piacenza plus Cerruti produces around 2 million meters for the major fashion groups, Louis Vuitton, Kering, and so on. So we face the problem in concrete. So I have been the coordinator of the TRIC project, which demonstrated some main things. First of all, it is possible to set up a standard and a data model to share data. This is absolutely important because if you don't speak the same language, you don't share them in the proper way. The second is the value of this data. The value means that with this data you can create a lot of richness because you can prove the compliance, which obviously it's a value for your products. You can prove the protection of the consumer's health. You can prove the workers' protection and clearly the traceability. But last but not least, we have to remember that we are a sector deeply affected by the greenwashing. So you can train AI models which can verify the reliability of the data. We did it in TRIC for the Italian Custom Agency, and it will be a tendency in the future to adopt these models because the custom agencies have not the power to make huge controls. Currently, they control around 2–3% of the total imported goods. So it's important that we know that with this data you can do a lot of things. But the problem is that that project was designed for the certification of origin for the custom agency, and it was a vertical project on one vertical integrated company. The problem is that you might imagine if you have to connect and to share data between 10 customers and 10 suppliers, which is the most efficient solution. At present, like Lutz said, we are behaving where each supplier is providing the data in a different data models to the 10 customers. So the connection is 100. Let's consider that our sector have an average dimension of 10 people per company. More than 90% of companies are SMEs, and we have around 150,000 companies in Europe. So you can imagine if you have these 10 suppliers and 10 companies, and what is happening now is exactly what Lutz said. We are behaving in an absurd way. If you put at the center a connector, you have only 20 connections because you have the 10 from the suppliers to the connector and the 10 from the connector to the customers. So the role of the data space, and we have proven it in the smart tenants process, is exactly to provide this technology in the middle, and this is possible. The real problem is that, as Lutz said, the issuing of the DPP is expected, of the delegated act for the DPP is expected in 2027. But at present, the IT suppliers are trying to impose their own solutions. So we, as a company, at present, have to deal with the one of the brands of Louis Vuitton. And Louis Vuitton is not adopting in the whole group the same solution, but different solution. The same is for Kering, the same is for Prada, and so on. So in practice, you have people writing Excel files in different formats per each brand, which is a waste of time, and in the era of AI is absolutely impossible to handle. And it's very, very inefficient on the handling of the data.
Thank you, Alessandro. And I think then we lead to a point that is to be or not to be, or to implement or not to implement a data space. So Lutz, if we look from the compliance perspective, we have seen some efficiencies that Alessandro was mentioning. But from this perspective of compliance, where do you see that there is an advantage when we decide to implement via data spaces?
Yeah, no, I see absolutely the advantage that Alessandro also mentioned, that the data spaces can provide several functions. They can provide that reduction of sort of interaction and manual sort of input-output operations. They can also serve a function because, as I said, we don't have a harmonized ontology, a harmonized language in this industry. So what one supplier, one brand calls polycotton, the other calls a cotton polyester blend, which is obviously exactly the same thing. So we could have also a translator function in the data space so that sort of we don't need to develop over years a harmonized ontology. And also the way that compliance is managed today, mostly in the industry, is basically control and audit. So you send an auditor into your factory, wherever it is, and then they audit something, they send you a report, and you attach that report, and that's basically how it works. And that obviously is not something that can work in a world of digital product passport. So I think the data spaces can also serve that purpose of sort of the chain of custody element there to say, well, is that data real, and is the data input reliable, and so on.
Okay, so just trying to wrap up a little bit, Alessandro, as we did in the last panel, 1-2 sentence. Let's think scale up. I think you brought the topic already in your previous statement. How would you approach that?
Yes, so my idea would be to highlight on some specific requirements, which are scalability. For all the businesses, scalability for all venture capitalists is the mantra. So the data space could be an enabler for the scalability. Based on this and the reduction of the cost and the burden for the SMEs, because let's remember that many SMEs will close because of the cost of compliance. So scalability for first. Secondly, data sovereignty, which can be granted by the data spaces. And it's a clear problem because we assist to a situation where some large brands are buying the suppliers, so the suppliers are very jealous about the data. And on the third side, I remember the exploitation of the data model in order to train AI models to verify the greenwashing. So for me, these three topics are absolutely basic, but can create a great value from the exploitation of the data space in our sector.
Thank you, Alessandro. And I think we have listened to companies, to associations, to platforms that they have been well-rooted into the data spaces, but data spaces is open. It's open to new companies, new endeavors, new initiatives. And with me, I have Anna from ITG, and actually they have started a new initiative in Galicia that is already working with AI and data. We heard Roland, the importance of bringing these things together. So Anna, what are you in as a newcomer into this implementation of data spaces?
Yes, we are working in a data space called Indaga, which is an industrial data space for Galicia, which is a little region in the north of Spain. And it's meant to be an enabling infrastructure focused on the real-world use cases and respecting the European principles, blah, blah, blah. So we are working right now currently in 4 use cases focused on key sectors of the industry in our region. 3 of them are the automotive sector, the food sector, and the shipbuilding sectors. And we want to provide them with a tool that will allow them to, for example, create dashboards to follow their KPIs, analyze them, and to perform benchmarking among other companies in the same sector. For example, the shipbuilding sector is really interested in having a dashboard to forecast the supply demand to optimize their processes. The 4th use case we are working on is for the UAVs and drone management. And we will be using our system called Dahlia, which is a system that allows drones to fly safely in the same airspace. It gathers information from many sources, such as authorities and operation suppliers. And it manages information such as flight plans, emergency information, or operational restrictions. So we want Indaga to be part of this infrastructure as an interoperability layer. So we will let other actors to share information in that data space, such as maybe port authorities, weather stations, transport companies and geospace providers, service providers, sorry. So the key factor of Indaga as this interoperability, oh my God, interoperability layer will be being quantum safe. It will use post-quantum cryptography to make the interchange of data safe not now, but in the long term. So with this, we want not only provide a drone-safe airspace, but also open the possibility to new possibilities of providing maybe optimization of logistics routes or advanced operations over this sectorial data.
Thank you, Anna, and this, I think, brings us to the conclusions of the different panels. It was challenging to keep the agenda and the timing. We were expecting horror schedule management. It has been only a nightmare, so I think we did quite well. But I don't want to keep you away from your lunch, so let me be very brief in the closing. Thank you for attending. I think you appreciate, as we do, that we have really making a change. We are moving from discussion into actual implementation. The implementation requires technology, requires interoperability, requires scale, and more importantly, requires cost efficiency to make the solutions competitive. So let's continue working with the data spaces, and let's see if rather than 20 by 20 connectors, next time we can talk about thousands or tens of thousands of companies being connected already to the manufacturing data space. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the event.